Hi, Yukia. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very
I'm
nice to
so
be here.
I'm so excited to have you uh, to interview you because I there's so much information that we need to talk about. But for everybody who's watching, Yukia came for a hypnosis session, and her I did put her video out. It was number 35, activations from the Andromeda Galaxy. And the information that Yukia provided to me during the interview part, before even the actual session, was so fascinating that I was telling her that I needed to have her on because it was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Um, and I always like to bring in, you know, stories and information that I feel are going to help you all remember, that are going to help you all learn. And so she was gracious enough to say, yes, I'll come on. And um, so hang on, because there's a lot of info that we're going to talk about. And it's going to be really, really interesting. So, Yukia, take us through the process of kind of what we talked about in the interview, and that is, when did you first start? When did you first start connecting to the beings or the energies that you were seeing? Tell us your
Mhm.
story. Like,
Okay. I was 6 years old, when the first episode started, um, and it was I was basically sleeping in my room, and there was a lot of electric magnetic. There was this magnetic electricity, in the room, and I was sharing the room with my sister, and but she was not disturbed by it, but of course I was, and I looked at the doorway, and there was a being standing, which I called the golden one because he was all lit up, um, but it looked very much like Christ-like, and with a robe, like almost like the Essenes, at the
oh,
time.
okay.
Um, and he called me through the doorway, and I was petrified, absolutely petrified, but got up and went through the doorway, and he said he had something to give me. He had to give me a key, um, and that's the only thing I remembered at the time. And I fell on the corridor, and my mother found me without breath, with the result that I was taken to a clinic. I was put on oxygen for 3 days, and during those 3 days, I was out of body, looking at my body, and that was an experience that it's unforgettable, because I was very little but very aware that was happening, because there were all these golden beings around, and they were very, very tall, and I called them the solar elders, the ancient ones, the sun people, I had this name, the sun people I hear, you know and they were doing some activations in the body. They were also um, there was also planting some devices, some chips. They were doing something that I wasn't understanding at that stage, but later on I understood, um, that I was being, implanted with some chips and some devices in different types of the body, in 6 places of the body, and
Oh, okay.
they were always going to be monitored, and as a study case, yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
and I
study.
forgot to mention that Yukia was a guardian. She's a guardian of the earth. If you listen to her video, which is really, really interesting, she's
Mhm.
a guardian of the earth. So just
Ye-
so you have that as background when she's
yes.
discussing this. So yeah, go ahead.
So at the time they told me that they were part of the, they were not from this universe, and from this galaxy, they were from far away, and that but they were guardians of this planet. They were what they called overseers,
Ah,
overseers. They were
okay.
they were looking after the planet. The term that I got later on when my walk-in came in was that we are overseers. And we interface with the guardians, with the intergalactic team, and then with the guardians, which is the ground crew. So there's many levels of interaction. And well, that was my first episode. And when I came back from my because I couldn't breathe for those 3 days, and the reason was they needed to do this.
Wow.
And so when I came back, I remember feeling quite different. Feeling that there was something there was something different about myself as a young girl. I started feeling that I had abilities that were telepathical abilities, that I could read the thoughts of my mother, of of the people around me, and that that my mind worked quite fast, and faster than the normal. And that and through the activities at school, then I started seeing that I was a bit different than other people in terms of the way I saw the world and the way I perceived it, also the way I played. And of course there was connection at that time with my mother, because she asked me what happened, do you remember anything? And I
Mm.
shared my story, and she listened to it, and then she explained that she believed me, because we came from a family, a lineage. We all have ancestral lineages through mother, through father. We came from a lineage of mediums in my mother's family, because we don't really know about much about my father's family. But my mother's family, and that many were born with a gift. She called it the gift of tongues. So speaking in tongues, and decoding information, and speaking with the spirit world and with other worlds, and that many landed up in asylums, and
Oh no.
were labeled
Oh.
epileptic, or were labeled, dementia, that they had dementia or something like that. And she also shared that my grandfather at the time, my grandfather, was one of them, but he had rejected his gift, because he didn't want, he wanted to concentrate and to focus on the family. And if he had accepted his gift, he would have to bring his focus fully to the planet and to the macro world. And that is not what he wanted to do in this lifetime. So she just wanted to let me know that my grandfather was, one of those, like she said, one of those. But she did say to me that she suggested that maybe that I don't discuss this with anyone, that I keep it to myself, and that of course I have the choice, but that the warning signals were there, and look at what happened to all these people,
Right.
and she was psychic herself, so she had abilities herself. So I shut down as a result of that. I had a shutdown in terms of communicating my energy to others and sharing my story, or sharing even my abilities.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so if I only shared my abilities at dream time, and I started astral traveling, and just connecting with the planets, and with my teams on the other side, and but not disclosing any information to anyone on Earth.
Mhm.
Um, so, and that led to the big to a big change, which and then I lived life like other people, but of course things were quite easy for me, maybe easier than most people, in terms of manifestation, in terms of manifesting a reality, in terms of understanding of the content of the, the student curriculum or whatever they were sharing with us, that sometimes didn't mean anything. But I played the game, that I was inside the loop, that I played that game. And while at the same time I was learning from the other side with my astral traveling. But what happened is, when you don't share your energy, so you come with gifts, okay, and you don't you have a certain vibration and a certain pulse, and you don't share that energy to other people, because that's one of the reasons you've come with the energy. Your body starts getting sick, you know, because there is a contraction of the energetic field, so there's your subtle body gets almost diminished, and and so there is also an existential sadness that comes through, once in a while. It was in if I go back, it wasn't all the time, but I had these spasms of sadness and of just wanting to be on my own, and thinking, what am I doing here, and
Mm-hmm.
why am I not there? The place I go every night, why don't I
Yeah.
stay there?
Yeah.
Why don't I stay there? So I became ill, and when I became ill, then I understood that the illness, the battery of illnesses that I had, were all a preparation for the walking, mm, for the changeover that was taking place.
Okay. Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
sometimes you have an accident when you have a walk-in. Other times you get a series of ills. I got, the so-called, I say so-called because they were never certain of anything with me, that I had the cancer of the small intestine, and I had Crohn's disease, and everything was cured without medical intervention, and that it disappeared in 2 months and in 1 month, and everybody was confused. Was it the right diagnosis? Was it not the right diagnosis? But those were all that was all part of the purification of the vessel.
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
The body needed to purify, and so that the new frequency, the new vibration of the other two souls could come through, you know um so in the beginning, it was a Pleiadian, very much a Pleiadian energy, which I still have very much as an imprint inside. um then it was and then the Venusian and the Arcturian came in.
So when you said the Pleiadian soul, is that the one that you were born with?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So the original one
The
was a
original,
Pleiadian.
yeah, the original soul was Palladian.
Okay.
Yes, the installation, and I call it installation because it was a real installation, it took until 2008, to actually everything be anchored inside, also the, the karma requirements of the lost soul that were still to be completed, had to be completed. There was a handover, period of transition, while there was basically three hybrid souls inside the vessel, you know.
Wow.
Because it was a big preparation where the walk-ins now are quite instantaneous. Well, even then there were a lot of walk-ins to an accident or something. One soul leaves, the other soul comes back in, and you wake up and you are a different person. But it wasn't my case. My case was long,
Mm-hmm.
so only
So
like
did you have awareness that something had happened to you at all?
I had awareness. I had awareness that something, the only reason that I had awareness at the time is because of the illnesses that I had and how quickly the cures took place. The self-healing techniques, the magic people that are, arrived in my life to give me these healings that I have never heard before. uh, and that I spent 5 days with this person, and then in 2 months' time I was cured, and the self-healing practices that I was doing on myself, and through this energy, which I had to work with myself. I had to work within myself. I started perceiving that this was a preparation for something big that was coming in, and there was going to be a changeover, and then I was notified of the changeover.
Oh,
I was
okay.
notified with my astral travels. Look, there's going to be a changeover, but it's going to be done with ease and grace. So that and it was, because it was a period of time which we could ease into it, finish what needed to be finished, and then embody the new higher frequencies, that these are the two hybrid components we're bringing to the body. So the body needed to have a matching frequency to that, so that it wouldn't go into shock. And yeah, so it was very smooth. It was smooth, you know.
Okay.
And during this period, what was already noticeable, as soon as the years passed, the first 3 years, it was very noticeable, the gifts that had been collected as a result of the walk-ins energies.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I collected the gift of sound, the gift of the languages, the gift of tongues, which I didn't have before.
The light
You know,
language. Mm-hmm.
yes, and I started speaking many, many, many languages. First the earthly languages, then the languages of light, of different planetary bodies, then the languages of the earth, you know, and then I didn't understand what I was speaking, and then there was a 2 year almost I called it installation again of the energy, and then the decoding started happening. So there was another gift, okay, can you decode now what you are saying? And of course, with the language of light, or the language of the angels, any of the languages that are not languages of the earth, these energies, you can't decode them verbatim. It is within a context or a theme, or a short sentence. You might say a lot of words, but it's only a short sentence. But then I started decoding. Then I started doing my glyphs. So
Okay. So
I started scribing. So
yeah, show them, show them. Go ahead and show them so they can see what you're talking about.
there were stages. So
Yeah.
this, the, can you see it? Am I
Yes.
doing this?
Yep.
Yeah.
So those are the glyphs that you started.
These are the guardian. This is the guardian information for the new Earth, frequencies that are coming in, and the new Earth holograms that are coming to assist us in the physical form.
Okay.
To join our own holograms and accelerate the encodement, the activation of the DNA within a lot of people on Earth, in order to promote the shift. So these are glyphs from the guardians. But for example, this one here is angelic. It's called Indiri. It's angelic language.
Wow. Wow,
This
you
one.
can tell the difference.
Yeah, it's very, very different.
Yeah.
And it's very much an angelic,
Wow.
and of course these have a tone. So this one, for example, if it's an angelic language, will have something like see.
Wow.
So they come with a frequency, and then the frequency comes through into the arm, and then the hand starts moving and we start doing the art. That's how it started. However, now I can pick a piece of paper. I don't have to sing because the note is inside. There's a resonance inside the body already that brings in the information. I mean, and then of course there is also, this is a stargate, it's in the inner earth, so it's in the core of the earth. It's the stargate of the Emerald City, so you also have the glyphs, you have the coding. So there is also, it is not only about glyphs, but it's also about the actual design.
Yes.
This one, he's
Yeah, this one, it looks like an avian to me because it has the two eyes on the top and like a beak. Do you see the two eyes and the beak?
It's also it's very much a avian energy, but it's also a mixed with a butterfly energy, it's an avian communication. It's a bird communication, actually.
Yeah, I can totally see it.
It's the cranians, so when this came through, the energy of the cranians is very much
Wow.
So it's different sounds. It's very sonic. So it's a holographic transfer, telepathic. This is how the information is transferred, all right, from the different groups, So it's transferred from a main source, which are called the divine intelligence, all right. Then which is that field. Where it's a field that you tap in. It's not an Akashic record because this is beyond the mind. So it's in a no mind place. All right. So it's a place of emptiness. You tap into your divine intelligence, which is a God particle, basically. And then you filter it through. Now I've come to understand this now, of course. I mean, then I didn't understand that, and you start bringing in through the different filters, the different, whoever is bringing the vibration necessary for the upgrade, for the alignment, for the attunement, for the restoration of the planet, because I've been involved in a lot of planetary work, in different sacred sites, all my life for 15, 16 years. And of course, all these sonic vibrations, these the codes that I received, the glyphs, served to assist me with knowledge and information of what to do when I got eventually to those places, or what to do in the water to purify the waters. So it's a telepathic, instead of being a whole information that comes in on a speakerphone, it's through the coding, through the sound, and all these drawings have got algorithms. They have got mathematical equations which are quite complex also. So this is, for example, this is quite a new one that was done very recently. It's going to appear in my exhibition in Portugal, in color, not only like this. But this is really to link the energies of the divine intelligence, the source energy, with the earth energy, and anchor it, and so there's a vortex of energy. There's each symbol means as a different meaning, so it's a code to assist the earth to stabilize, to align itself to the new grids that have been installed a while ago, that are going to be activated with this guardian intergalactic guardian energy, and it's not energy, it's coding, encodements to assist us to shift and to return to peace, and to return to silence and stillness, and to be able to live in a place beyond the mind, but yet in the body, and embrace the human. So it's a different type of coding. It changes the way the glands are reconfigured, so this coding is already installed in many people. And it's going to change the way it changes the physical operation of our own system. So the way the glands function, the way the meridians flow, everything is being rewired, reframed, recalibrated, attuned to the new energetic, that to bring us to the positive pulse in this planet. So transmuting the negative pulse, and it's already done. It's and I know it doesn't look like at this stage, but it is done.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not even a question of us winning or them winning, because it's not about us or them. We are both sides are in this. And these agreements have been made a long time ago.
Yeah.
Us to be here together, to play the dark card, to play the light card. And
Yes.
important really is that we are already emergent, but it's going to take organically in the earth. It's going to take quite a while for all this new technology to come in, for all these new the medical advances to be visible, to everyone, because they might be visible to very few,
Yeah.
depending on your vibration and frequency. So these codes come in like that. If there is a grid, for example, this is a grid, this is actually like this, so it's a grid. This was that was for an installation in the water, to purify the layers of water that were still in density within the core of the earth, and that were bringing us, that needed to be cleared and cleansed, and they were full of old programs, old belief systems, within tunnels and within lakes within the earth, so sometimes I receive grids, sometimes I receive waves. This is waves, this is a particular wave, that needed to be anchored on earth, in the core of the earth. Assist the inner earth beings to give them a tool, for the inner earth beings to clear what they need to clear, so they can come to the surface, because it's time for them to come to the surface and assist us, but there is no conditions for it, because there's still so many layers of density that need to be cleared. And and we've heard a lot about them recently, with the tunnels and the children and this and that, but it's just only one part of the little story that is going on, but it's a big story of manipulation and control. So these are holographic telepathic messages that come through codes, but they're not only healing codes, they're codes of restoration, they're codes of reparation of the soil, they're codes of reparations of the body, of the organs, of alignment, of attunement, of transmutation, of activation of the dormant DNA, of depend what comes in, and for what, so it's a way of communication. So receiving this communication, and in the beginning I was tied up, because I was tied up in working from a higher mind, saying, okay, I'm receiving this communication from the Pleiadians, or I'm receiving this communication from Venus, or from the bird people, or from the ancient stone people, or from all this, and then everything shut down. 6 years ago, everything shut down, and said,
Wow.
you are receiving communication from the field of divine intelligence, which is beyond the mind, you know. And all this is in the field, because the whole history of everything, of all the original blueprints are in the field. What has happened, what is happening in the past, in the future, in the present, is happening in this moment. It's all there. It's all there, and it's all available. If you want to, you can recreate your future. You can use your future to recreate your past and rescript it. You can use your past to recreate your future. All right, and you in your presence, you are moving from one pulse to another, because it's a space. It's not fixed. The now moment is not a fixed moment. It's a continuous. It's time space continuum, continuous. So there's only the next moment and the next moment and the next moment that we are creating. So we can create. We are able, tapping into that divine God intelligence, or divine creator, whatever you want to call it. We can create, we can fetch anything that we need, in the flow. So it comes in as a data stream influx, into yourself, which it's in the flow. So it's effortless. It's in the flow, and it's in the flow. But you are bringing it in from yourself. You are activating that field from within the heart. So from within your belly and within the heart, you activate the field, of remembrance, okay, or understanding of this divine intelligence that's inside you, and that you mirroring it outside, but it's inside you. So you projecting it outside. It's not the other way around. That was also quite difficult to understand for me, because I was always, because of the different phases of communication, when I started perceiving energy and transmitting energy to myself, or to on paper, first to automatic writing, then it was channeling. So there was the Mary Magdalenes, there was this, there was that. That was a very short period of time, maybe 3 years or something like that, and then it started like a data stream information. It was like I was receiving from a network somewhere, which seemed to me that was outside myself. Okay, somewhere in the big library, which I saw in a screen of a TV, in ships, a lot. But also within my vision, my peripheral vision, I could open the screen in my room and see it, in those windows.
Really?
Yeah.
At will, like while you're awakened, like right now, like.
No, mainly when I went to sleep, mainly.
Okay.
But if I slept in the afternoon, for example, I would have the ability to do. I needed to be resting to be able to actually access the information in the beginning, and then decode it, and then transmit to the person with my voice, But I was no longer channeling. I was bringing in the information, and then transmitting it. And then it went further than that. Then it became a flow of information from the innate knowingness. So I knew that I wasn't fetching anything now from outside or from a central point or operating system in a boat or or inside the earth or in a ship. I wasn't fetching anything. That the information was actually already inside.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just activating my divine intelligence. I was connecting with God, with the creator, and with spirit. And in that connection, there were no intermediaries. And therefore the knowledge could be activated and transported, projected outside. So I would see scrolls, I would see things, but there were things that I was bringing in from the innate, from inside. And
Wow.
this understanding was very challenging for me in the beginning, um, because I was used to being on, for quite a while on visiting ships and learning from beings in ships and
Right.
in inner universities more than in ships, actually in planetary bodies. And
Wow.
then suddenly that all shut down, and there were no more Sereno or Adrina or because I had my team that had names, or they all disappeared, and it became a field that you could tap inside and find your answers, but only, the interesting part, only if you were able to step out of your way and into a place beyond the mind. So a place of thoughtfulness, no thoughts. So you had to go not to 0 point, you had to go beyond 0 point to get to that
Mm.
place where there's nothing inside. And you visualizing, for example, a feeling of a heart feeling, for example. You visualize. Anyone can do that. This is a practice, okay? You visualize, the heart or love, and you visualize the word of love in front of you, like in braille, golden, emerald, whatever colors, and it's big and it's dancing in front of you, and you focus your attention in the word. So if you focus your attention in the word and you are in the space of stillness, your thoughts are not there because you are focusing on the visual, on the beauty of this creative energy that's playing up. All right. And then you can command, you can do a command to bring in the message, command the message or activate the message,
Mhm.
but you're doing that from the heart. You're not doing that from the mind, and then you leave it. You just continue to focus on that word. All right. And then suddenly you start tinkling. So you start feeling all your senses, One way of getting there is, you start connecting with all your senses, the senses that in this earth, and the
Right.
senses that you don't know, you know your taste, your tactfulness, your the way you perceive the world, the way you feel with your body, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, your claircognizance, your etheric energy, your spirit energy, and you start requesting that energy comes into you just put an intention and you leave it, and it
Okay.
automatically comes in. When it comes in, then you have the potency or the potential, to bring in the information, like the information that will flow, you know, love is percolating through the earth, every single moment, and beyond the veils, there is an expanded perception of what is happening,
Mhm.
and we are allowing and giving consent to that perception to pierce the veils that are available to us, and we are in access to that information, and we are receiving the data bundles that contain symbols and that contain this, and they all encoded with many perspectives of what love is, many energies and frequencies and vibrations of love,
Wow.
and we are embracing that. So this is information that you're getting from spirit, because you're not in the mind, you are empty.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So that what we call this. We all different, I think, called divine intelligence or the innate, because it comes from your innate knowingness,
Okay.
you know,
Yes. Yeah.
that innate knowingness.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's how it's been changing. And then it became telepathic to the holographic codes, to the sonic vibrations, to the songs, because sometimes I don't bring any art code or any light code, but I bring a song, and the song is encoded, you know, with a specific message that
Yes.
that sometimes I do not automatically understand straight away, but in 2 days' time, I'm decoding that.
Integrate. Hmm.
I'm integrating that. It
Hmm.
could be um, a, a song to open the heart of those that are still blind to the manipulation and the games, for example.
Right. Right.
Something like Ka curatura kila qarana mena khulali khashuru tarura rita manana nitaru tanmanalu kharuti satarurali tikui So you are expanding the field, something to expand the field. I mean, I'm giving examples.
Wow.
This was all gradually. So in the beginning, I was just doing these sounds, individual sounds, and I had to do these rituals in the bath, because I was guided by spirit, So in order for me to open my voice and to open myself to the gifts, I had to do purification work. And purification work was 2 years, where I had to
Wow.
take 3 baths a week at the same time. And at this time, spirit was coming. So I would have my guides, I would have my team would come.
Hmm.
And I had to be inside the water. In the beginning, it was only, between 5 and 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes was the maximum. But during that time, with a candle, and I had to be completely emptying my mind, because my mind was very active, very, very active. I had a lot of intellectual energy, you know, in the intelligence that I was birthed with. mm. So I had to decompress, I had to collapse the neural pathways, and also to purify the body, to prepare for my, you know, for for my gifts to come in, you know. So those baths, I had to put rose oil in the bath and
Hmm.
salt. Those were the guidance that I received. And then I started singing inside the bath. That's how my voice opened. I was bored, in the beginning, and I said, well, I'm going to try and do the sounds,
Right.
some sounds. And then suddenly everything changed. And this took 2 years. I had to do this and the
Mhm.
guidance from spirit, for 2 years. And then the languages came, the different songs came, the different frequencies came. um, but still no art at that stage. No,
Right.
no, no, no. So that was later on. And but no decoding. I couldn't decode anything. I knew that this was ancient Sumerian or ancient Egyptian or Armenian. I knew the context, but I didn't know any information, because I was not ready to receive any information, because my intellect would run with me and make, okay, what happened there in Egypt, what happened there, and I would run, so we get what we are ready to receive.
Yes.
Time that we
Yes.
are ready to receive and unlock. That was a big lesson
Absolutely.
for me, you know. And I'm still learning, because we're all learning, we're still all changing. But the time of the big unlocking is now. There's a huge unlocking that is taking place, you know. And I see through the codes that I'm receiving, you know, and because I receive a lot of holographic telepathic information through the codes and through sonic notes
Mhm.
that are for to accelerate. They're actually to accelerate, to transmutate, to collapse the old, to collapse and to propel people to awaken, you know, to see the truth, to, you know, this, but it's collective, a lot of collective energy, a
Mhm.
lot of collective energy coming in, you know.
Wow.
So, and the message that comes, and always from me, from spirit, you know, from the source of who I am, it's always this is